Hello everybody, it's Brian the Music Man back again for the fourth and final episode of this. I said number 5 in the last video, but I was wrong. It's number 4. So what's going on here? Well, I completed entering in the score that I had selected here, and it's not a real big piece. It looks real busy. It's just a faster piece with a lot of smaller valued notes so that it moves faster. And that, I got it entered in. I had to play a few tricks. I actually had to start over and get things set up properly. So it looks like it worked out really nice. So let me take this and voila, here we go. As you can see, it matches pretty closely, starting up here. And I played a couple little tricks here in that, and you can see here that one of the changes is that right in here, you notice just a single bar here, but on here, it's the beginning of a repeat. I did that for a specific reason, because it's how I was able to get things to work. Because that very first note there, right here, let me blow that up so you can see it more. That one note just hangs off all by itself, and I'm pretty sure that there is a way that you can have a hanging note by itself. I just can't remember how to do it. So we're not going to worry about that all too much. It works, and that's all that matters. It sounds good, and that matters even more. So, this is a pretty fast piece, and it sounds pretty good. And without further ado, let me get over to the computer and see what things actually look like. So let me just make sure we've got video here. All right, I'm cued in there. Okay, so now I'm on the CoCo here, and looking at the score that you see, I entered things, and I've got the instruments set up, and that the volume levels set up correctly in that. And the reason why you see volume levels on both sides is because on the repeat, these are set on the outside of the repeat. So the very first time it plays through, it starts, and because there's volume changes in the middle, and then when it goes back to repeat, instead of going all the way here, it goes here. So what happens is that I need to reset the levels here. So I just simply copy what was here over to here, and away we go. And so without further ado, let's just take a look at the instruments. Okay, and as you can see, all these little greater than marks here, those indicate instruments being used in the score. And that's so instrument 0, which is the flute, grand piano, strings, the second type of strings, and a solid bass, which is actually a good bassy instrument that I made it a little bit lower, and so it sounds more like a bass, but it's actually brass Zeus, so that it's it's a little bit more rough, kind of like the type of sound, but deep and at the correct level. That sounded like pretty weak, like a Volkswagen Bug. But anyway, so you can see here, I've got the piano up here, and the flute. That doesn't seem right. Yeah, That's right. Okay, 0 is the flute. 11 is going. Okay, yeah. So flute. I don't have anything set up on this channel yet, or part. And then I'm just got these two parts here. So 1 and 1. That was the strings. So I've got the higher. They're slightly higher strings, more like a violin. The second set of strings, that's a fuller sounding set of strings, more like in a multiple piece orchestra. And then of course then I've got the solid bass here, 4 on the part of the bass. So down here I've got the second string, and I got the bass here. So that's how I have it set up, and that I entered everything in. And you know, you can move through the score by either, like I showed before on the preview videos, going here and just keep going forward through. And you can see here, in at measure 5, this is where it does that first repeat. So that it does the first section first. It starts at the very beginning of the score, goes all the way over, hits this point here, and then flips back. And there's the first repeat. And then here, I have, the score called for in measure 6 to increase the volume. So of course I followed suit, and instead of here, because this is a pretty powerful instrument sound, I kept it lower. So that for that, so what's on the score itself on the sheet here, that's all up for interpretation. It depends upon the instrument sounds that you're using, because sometimes you can get a little bit odd different instruments because it just sounds better for you. So sometimes you have to tweak things around, like the volume a little bit, sometimes the tempo, a touch, for your taste and all that. It's all up to the person who's conducting the music. Since you're entering the music into the computer, you're the conductor. It's your choice and how you interpret what's in front of you and how you put it in, because you may see something that this sounds good, but I wonder what would happen if I put the tingling of some extra bells, like a really high pitch, like a bell sound or something like that, to like scale up, like so it goes, sort of goes up and has kind of like a tingle sound, rising up through the scale and all that. You hear that, quite a few different sounds in that. So you can take some interesting paths on how you decide how it sounds. So, like I said, we've got the first, the ending of the first repeat, and then it just goes through, and everything just goes entered in, and and all the notes, go in that. So, and just followed suit on how I showed you in the other videos of how everything gets entered in and such, on both the preview videos and also on the videos of this piece of music itself that I selected. So there's only like 13 actual measures. So when it goes through, and you can see that it gets a little bit busy in that. And one of the things that I did was that at measure 10, right at the beginning of measure 10, I decided to, instead of just going abruptly from one level of volume to another level of volume, like instantly going from this loudness to this loudness that fast, I used a gradual. In the video, in previous videos, I showed you about that for crescendo, which brings it up to even a higher level. Because if you look at the score, on the third section down, in that, where it goes up to FF. So I crescendoed it up over 3 beats. So, and then it just continues on, and that gets a little bit busier and ends. And then I did another repeat, but at the full end, so that it goes all the way to the beginning. And unfortunately, let's go back to 1 here, it also includes these rests. And that there has to be a way in order to set it up so that I can stop that. You know, let's try something here. Let me enter in let me try this here. Okay. That did not work exactly right. So it went to the left of those notes. So let's take that back out. Go back in, and what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to put in and there we go. So maybe now I can go here and begin to repeat and see if that might do something, because maybe I can stop it so that it repeats all the way back to here and not all the way to the beginning and include these rests. I don't know, but it's worth a shot because it's not going to hurt anything. So I'm not going to save this. I'm just going to see how it is. So we went through the piece a little bit visually. So let's now take a look and see how it sounds. So here we go. Worked. No pause. Yay, how do you like that, folks? I figured something out right on the fly. So by putting in the repeat right in front of that, I was able to repeat again. So first it went through and did the repeat. The first section up at the top, and did that twice, went through it, repeated, and went through, and that's the end of the song right there. So as you can see, and that when it first started, when I first played from the beginning, it went all the way through, and so I had a little bit of a rest. It passed through this first begin repeat, played the one note, then did the repeat here, and then went to all the way through, got to 6, and this here's the first repeat. That first repeat then went to here. Let me just go back one here. Not to this one, but to this one right here. So it went back and then went through, and when it got up to the here, going through all the way through and then to 6. It just passed through this because it only repeats once, goes through and just continues playing. In that, and it, you know, you had the voice changes at or the volume change in measure 6, and then here in measure at the end of measure 9, beginning of measure 10, it crescendos and changes up a little bit louder, more voice forcibly, you know, all the notes, you know, until it got to the end here on at 14, and then it had a final repeat. So then it repeated the entire song again, as if I played play again, and then came through. And I didn't erase all of these rests in that. There has to be a way that I can take and do a final stop. That's what was the second bar here, was for the final. But for some reason, UltiMuse still goes through, so I have to figure out exactly how to do it. You know, I'm not a complete expert on here. There's a lot of stuff that I forgot over the years, and that I forgot more than I remember. And that, you know, about music theory and notation and such. But hey, it was definitely a fun road to travel down, and now you see, you know, where I'm at. And, you know, now you are a little bit more aware of how to use UltiMuse. And I hope that this helps anyone out there who wants to play with the CoCo and do music and that, you know, to have it. Now, if you don't have if you've got a CoCo 3 and you've got ease of use, you know, the latest version of ease of use for Nitrous 09, and that, you know, you can use, if you don't have a MIDI pack, you can use the bit banger on the back of the CoCo 3. But I would highly recommend get a MIDI pack. Jim Brain of Retro Innovations. If you go to For Retro Store, I think is what it is. You can do that. It's called the MIDI Maestro, and it's actually a copy of the one that Lester Hands did and several others did. So it was a very standardized MIDI pack. The Glenside Club actually did a redo of the pack by Lester Hands. I actually created all those MIDI packs. I think I did like 40, 45 of them or so, something like that. So and those were all sold off quickly. That was back in the late 90s when that was done. So with Jim Brain and other people looking for the MIDI packs, Jim decided to recreate it for the color computer. He did it for the Commodore and I think one or two other 8-bit machines and such also. So it's out there. It's available. You can find it on the internet. You know, MIDI Maestro, and hope to hear you out there with doing your own music and such. So, folks, have yourself a great evening. Have fun and CoCo on.